Hey, everybody. So we're doing abandonment. And I think anybody, if you spend a little bit of time, you can think of times where, abandonment, feeling abandoned, feeling rejected, any of those things can pop up for any of us. And part of it is a lot of times when we think of abandonment, we think of this issue that we have to work with and yes, we have the issues for when it happened and everything, but part of what happens also is that drive to fit in, especially socially, be it at work, in the family, whatever it might be, is a very primal drive. It's a physiological drive to fit in, because when you're not in the herd, when you're not in the group, it's harder to survive, or could mean like death, out in nature. Like if we were a pack of humans and society was the way it was, and we were having to fight off lions and cheetahs and get food and whatever it is, much easier to do as a group than individually. And so with that, abandonment is not something you resolve and that you're done. It's something that's always a potential, because physiologically it can pop up at any time in situations where emotionally, mentally, you're like, yeah, that's not nice, but I get it. But still, physically, you can feel this physiological process happening about, oh, you got to fit in, oh, you got to do this, oh, you got to do that. And then it produces an emotion, and then it eventually produces a thought process. Sometimes it's good not to fit in, if you're in situations. There was this one situation that for myself that I was involved in a business or an organization or whatever. And you know you could say I didn't fit in with the group, but I also didn't really care for the group. Like, I didn't want to be like them. I didn't want to be friends with them. I didn't really think they were super nice people. But still, when I wouldn't fit in, I'd still have those feelings. You got to fit it. It was more detailed than that, but basically, it was like, I got to fit into this group. And I'd find myself like making effort to fit in, and then I was like, why am I doing this? Like, it's not something I want. It's not something that I choose. So, a lot of this has to do with social interaction. It has to do with personal interaction, like say if it's with friends or family or even a partner. And so we want to be able to handle it emotionally and mentally, but we also want to temper and calm down the agitation in our physiology that makes us feel abandoned, right? So sometimes it's not about going back and releasing some old event or some old trauma, or doing some work about this person that did this or did that. Sometimes it's simply flicking switches that got flicked in your physiology to calm down the abandonment mechanism. Now, here's the thing: the more that you become successful, the more that you become innovative, or the more that you begin to spiritualize, the more you start setting yourself aside from the group. Like you're already starting to do this split. And so we're in a little bit of a predicament sometimes. The predicament is, do I temper my spiritual growth, or do I temper my ability to perform and innovate, like say in the workplace, and stand out? Do I temper my ability to be successful so that I fit into the group, right? And as silly as this sounds, we do this kind of on an unconscious level. And the more that you're able to temper this, the more that you get to be your true nature. You get to be yourself. You get to to individualize a little bit more. So it's an important thing for practitioners. It's an important thing for healers. It's an important for doing our self-healing journey. It's important if you're trying to succeed in business. You know, I think growing up, I always thought, oh, you know, it wasn't exactly these words, but if I translate it, oh, when I'm successful, it would be amazing because I'll be totally accepted. And then as you get older and you start doing things to become, you know, more successful in whatever field or industry you're doing, the more you become a target, the more you become isolated, the more, you know, there's people that instead of trying to be successful themselves, they spend time trying to tear you down or grind on you or whatever it might be. And so there's all different kinds of ways that this idea of abandonment can get triggered. Nobody's immune from it. You know, look at somebody like the Dalai Lama. Here's this developed soul, had to leave his country, right? Had to leave his country. And you know, I think he handles it very well, but still he has to deal with that issue. And this is a very enlightened soul. We don't get away from it. You know, it's part of being in a body. It's part of having physiology. It's part of, you know, being human. So with that, what I'd like you to do is close your eyes and just take a moment and reflect on times or situations that you have felt abandoned, felt rejected. And as you reflect on that and you tap into those situations, also tap into the feeling and the thought process, the thoughts that are associated with that particular event or situation. Oh, yeah. You know, somebody just typed in and asked, can that bring up feelings of betrayal? And if you think of betrayal, that is kind of a form of abandonment. You know, it's not exactly abandonment, but it's abandonment-ish. Okay, I think that's good. We will be coming back and checking in with that. And the issue is you can do this process and not do what we just did, where we reflect on those past events. But I like to do that just so we can measure it, engage what's happening. And so I like to check in, like after we do some processes, and go, how does that feel? Like, when you check in, you can feel your physiology kind of coming down, and how does the emotions feel? How are the thoughts? What happens with the mind? Is those past events still have a very big charge? Yeah, sorry about my voice. We got in really late last night from traveling and teaching. My voice hasn't caught up with me. So the very first thing you're going to do is pull out mugwort or artemisia. Also, mugwort supreme will work.
And if you did get the kit for purchase, it's regular mugwort,
Yeah, mugwort.
right?
Yeah. These are a lot of the oils that we use all the time for a lot of different things. So it should be relatively straightforward. Okay, we good? Yeah. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to have you do is just open up the bottle and just start inhaling. You're going to hold it about an inch or two from the nose, like holding it in front of your nose like this. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. So take the cap off. Don't do like I was doing. So just start taking some nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause. Pause and be still. Okay, so now we're going to do a thing where we reflect on social interactions, right? At first, you don't even have to do things that were associated with abandonment. Here, you're just thinking about how you interact with people or interact with a group, or if there's a group setting, the dynamics of the group and how you're fitting in. Just kind of think of interactions with that, with people in your family. You're not judging it as good or bad. You're just thinking of those interactions. And the thing with the mugwort is it opens up the flow of energy. A lot of times when we're either traumatized in a situation, or we're afraid that we're going to be traumatized, or we've had past experiences where it's traumatized, like our interaction in the group can be compromised because we start to be a little bit protective. And mugwort is protective in nature and opens up the flow of things. Like it opens up your energy channels. It increases the size of your chakras. It makes your chakras pump better. It does all those things. And so we want those things to happen, but specific to the group, right? The group interactions. And by focusing on the different areas, the different groups, you're also increasing the flow in these different situations, right? the thing that I always think of for myself is I don't want to be my own worst enemy, right? I don't want to be the one that's causing it in these situations. I want to be able to observe something and be able to adjust myself in a situation because of what's happening in the situation, not my past, right? I don't want to be acting on past experiences, right? So with that, think of social interactions and then take long, slow, deep breaths with a mugwort as you're thinking of these social interactions. And then just pause the inhalation, close your eyes, and just be still for a moment. Let go of the reflection and just be still and just let it incubate for a moment. Okay. Now again, start reflecting on social interactions. Let's just do another wave of the same thing. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Taking nice, long, slow, deep breath. Hmm. And then just be still. Just be still. Now, think of how you act and feel when you're in a group. Could be at work, could be your family, say like at Thanksgiving, everybody's having conversations, laughing, joking, or not, or whatever's going on. Think of yourself in those situations, how you think, how you feel, how well you fit in, how well you don't. And as you think about it again, nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Bing. And then just pause. Even here, your energy bodies are already starting, we're opening up the flow of the situation. We're trying to basically turn on the observer here, like, the inner observer. And, part of it is we want to observe what's going on in these different situations, because a lot of times what happens is we get triggered, or we go to like a defense mode, and we go into what you would call automatic thinking, automatic behaving. Another way of saying that is homeostatic, um, like feelings, or a homeostatic emotion, and then homeostatic behavior. which means you're not really thinking about it, you're just reacting. And, afterwards you're like, oh, what happened? But you go into kind of like survival mode a little bit sometimes, especially if you get triggered by not fitting in, which we all do, but sometimes we really get triggered, you know what I mean? And so by opening this up, you're allowing your physiology to not be so reactive, but you're sitting with what's happening. And what begins to happen is your energy body naturally begins to establish order in the situation. You're giving your energy body, you're giving your emotions and your mind ability to contribute to the situation so that you're not just in reaction mode. So this is actually kind of a very important step. Each of these steps, each of these segments that we're doing could stand on their own, and they're all doing something a little bit different, but they also build on each other. And so we want to be in a place where we're not just always reacting. And a lot of times we don't even realize that we're just in reaction mode until you get out of it and you're like, oh boy, now I get to think about it. Now I get to choose. Now I get to kind of cognitively process, right? Where before you're processing, but it was always after the fact of what just went down, right? So again, think of group dynamics, like how are you interacting in the group? How do you fit in? How do you interact? Good or bad, doesn't matter. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Mhm. You're still taking some nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause. Now, we're trying to calm down our tendency just to react or be triggered or become defensive without really thinking about it. Keep in mind that it happens before your brain can process it. It happens before you can really even feel something. It's an instinctual response. It's a triggered response when we start to feel abandoned or rejected, and then afterwards we feel emotions, and then afterwards we think it out, and then we go, what just happened, right? But the initial piece is this kind of triggered response, right? It's happening without our thought processes. So it's not like you're predisposed to the way of thinking of something. You might process it in a particular way, but in the moment it is like a conditioned response, right? Some of it we inherit, and some of it is the water under the bridge we call life. It just it happens over a period of time. And so it's not so much the story, it's that like things in the physiology get triggered, and we want to be able to calm those down so that in the next interaction, you're not having that past event and the event happening in front of you happening at the same time. Because if you're getting abandoned in the moment, it makes it worse because of the past conditioning. And sometimes something might be happening that's different or out of control, but might be good, but we have a triggered response that happens that then clouds what is happening in the moment. Right? So with that, part of what we're doing to break this emotional pattern is we think of the situation and then we go to the back heart. Even you could say that we have like walls or armor that we put up to try to protect ourselves. And then the more that we armor up, the more that we can actually be creating some of these abandonment issues, because we're not allowing ourselves to connect, and then we're not having our interactions, and then what happens is it starts to become harder and harder to connect, and then eventually I feel rejected, I feel abandoned. So we want to create goodness in the situation and not be contributing in any way to the negative interactions, right? So the way to do this is how we just did. We think of the different situations and then we go the back heart, right? So now you're going to put your awareness on the back heart, the area between the shoulder blades, and you're going to take nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Just keep taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then just be still. Let's go back to those same social interactions. So the very first thing that you started with, whatever that might be, reflect on it again, and then begin inhaling. Feeling. And then just be still. Just be still. Just let everything go. Okay, let's go to the group dynamic. That same thing that you reflected on before. Take some nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Okay, you're doing the group dynamic. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then again, just pause and let go. Just let it incubate. Now, think of a time where you were the new person in a group. Like you come into a situation, you're the new one, everybody knows each other, or if you feel weird or awkward when you're just meeting somebody for the first time. So it could be one-on-one or a group, but when you're in new situations. So as you think of these new situations, take nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then pause. Just let it incubate for a moment. Don't need to think about anything. Just let your mind rest and relax. Your awareness is on your back heart, that area between your shoulder blades. Take some nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause for a moment. And then again, your awareness is on the back heart. And just be still. Just be still. Now, the issue is that when these mechanisms are engaged, we start to do things in a repetitive way. We either keep inserting ourselves into situations where abandonment's going to happen, trying to figure it out or work it out, or most likely we end up in a situation where we keep trying to protect ourselves to a greater and greater degree, not allowing for change, but almost like a withdrawal, which then it's very common for when we really have strong abandonment issues, is the tendency is to abandon before you get abandoned. Like it's a way of minimizing the hurt and the pain. And so this becomes a repetitive process. This becomes um, a thing that we do over and over again, right? We don't really, again, think about it because remember, it's more in the instinctual responses, which means your brain doesn't process it. Your emotions aren't feeling something. You're just having this triggered response. And so the thing that shifts that repetition, you could say, lacks light, because light is expansive, right? Even if you go into a dark room and you turn on a flashlight, the light's not just in front of the flashlight, it projects a beam and it lights up the whole room because the light itself is expansive. So we want to do the same thing. So here we're doing a thing called the materialization breath. And what you're materializing is not the situation, it's not your thoughts, it's not your feelings. You're materializing light into the situation, right? Into the responses, into the tendencies, into those social interactions, right? So here you're going to do a thing called the materialization breath. And you're going to hold the bottle up to the chest, right? And your head's going to go down. You're going to inhale, hold your breath, and then up, and then exhale. So down, inhale, up, exhale. Down, inhale, up, exhale. Down, inhale. 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 Up, exhale. Just be still. Keep your eyes closed. Just let it incubate. You don't need to do anything or direct anything. Just let it happen. So you're just being still. Okay, let's do that again. Bottle to your chest. Chin down. Inhale. Hold your breath. Up. Exhale. Down. Inhale. Hold your breath. Up. Exhale. Down. Inhale. 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 Up. Exhale. Just be still. Let everything go. Your eyes are closed. Just let go. Just being still. Maintain your stillness and awareness. When we're feeling abandoned, that's something that eventually, when we start to have our thoughts and the issue that we can identify, that's in the intellect. the healing will happen in the intuitive state. Right? So what we're doing is we're engaging the intuitive state so that the healing process begins. So you're just letting that healing process begin. And let's do that one more time. Model to your chest, chin down, inhale, up, exhale, 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 down, inhale, up, exhale. Just be still. Okay, so this next piece, we're going to utilize a different oil. We're going to use a blend called Splendor. And if for some reason you don't have Splendor, you can continue to use the mugwort, but Splendor is definitely the choice here. Now, here we're working, there's this whole series that we've been doing, the Master Auric Technique. And we basically have divided up different pieces of the aura to systematically treat these different aspects within the aura. The aura is the energetic mold or blueprint that the physical body follows. right? So if you think about, you don't really have to think about inhale, exhale, right? Your lungs just do it automatically, right? And you don't have to eat a bagel and then go, okay, now stomach, break it down. And like, you don't have to keep thinking about all the processes that needs to happen for you to digest that food. It happens automatically. So we have a lot of processes in our body, even in our emotions and mind, that are happening without us having to think about it, right? So there's voluntary aspects where, like, if I move my hand, that's a voluntary movement. And then there's involuntary movement within the nervous system, right? Involuntary processes that we don't think about, but these processes happen without our conscious awareness, right? Digesting food, eating, things like this. Right? So we're dealing with this next piece is what you would call an auric program. Like your energy body is contributing to these different processes within the body, right? So an auric program is not something that somebody puts there, or something that got projected at you, or something that happened, you know, because of a past event. The auric program is part of the aura that is influencing these processes in your body. You know, they impact the structure, they impact the the processes, or the movement, and then they also process your emotional and mental responses to these interactions, right? So if your digestion is not doing well, for example, part of that is in the auric program. You know, there could be something physically wrong with the anatomy, you know, the structure. There could be something wrong with the physiology or the processes, or there could be stress or an emotional state that is impacting the digestion. Here, we're wanting to do this for abandonment, and this would be tied to the limbic system. So here we're working Splendor to impact the limbic responses, which are basically our emotional responses that are a byproduct of how we learn through, you know, we had successes, we had failures, we had pain, we had pleasure, you know, whatever it might be, reward, punishment. Through all these interactions, we start to have these kind of conditioned responses, right? And so here we want to calm down the agitation in the limbic system so that we're not on edge every time we're in a situation that has that stimuli of, like, here we go again, we're going to get abandoned, here we go again, I'm not going to fit in, here we go again, it's fill in the blank, right? A lot of that is tied to a limbic response. So here we're going to work the quadrants of the aura to unwind this, temper this, so that we don't have a negative response coming out of the aura, right? Those patterns are always there, but they can be positive or they can be negative, right? So here we're trying to upgrade the pattern that's in the aura so that when we make progress in a situation, it holds, it sticks, and we don't go three steps forward, 2 steps back, right? But also, sometimes if we work the auric program well enough, those patterns will start to unwind in the physiology and the emotions and the mind, because the aura is the mold or blueprint. So if you don't eradicate it in the mold or the blueprint, then when you start shifting things around, it might shift and goes back. Here, we want it to shift and stay shifted. You know, we want to feel better. We want to calm down agitation. We want all those things. But sometimes if we work the aura well enough, sometimes we don't even have to work the other component, right? It starts to unwind itself because that program is running in a more positive way. So with that, you're going to begin inhaling, and your awareness is on the whole left side of your body, left side of your face and neck, your left shoulder, your ribs, your left hip, down the leg, all the way down to the outer ankle. Now, you're not necessarily working your body, but you're anchoring your attention on this part of your body so that you're working the aura, which is outside of the body, right? So your awareness is on the whole left side. Start taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause and be still. Just pause and be still. Okay, let's begin down the front side. So your face, throat, your chest, your abdomen, the front side of your pelvis, down the fronts of your legs, to the tops of your feet. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause and be still. Just pause and be still. Mhm. Now let's do the right side of the body. Right side of the face and neck, the right shoulder, right rib, right hip, down the outer leg to the right outer ankle. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause and be still. Just letting go. Now you're doing the whole backside of the body, back of the head and neck, your whole back, your hips, down the backs of your legs, all the way down to your heels. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just be still. Just be still. Just be still. We're going to do that one more time. So left side of your body, head to ankle, down the whole left side of your face and neck, your shoulder, your ribs, your left hip, down the outer leg to the left outer ankle. And then pause and be still. Just pause and be still. Just be still. You're doing down the front now. Your face and throat, your chest, your abdominal area, the front of your pelvis, down the fronts of your legs, all the way to the tops of your feet. And then pause. Just be still. Now the right side of your body, right side of your face and neck, your right shoulder, your ribs, your right hip, and down the outer leg to the right outer ankle. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And just be still. How's this feeling?
This is
Just be still. Your awareness is on the back side, back of the head and neck, your upper and mid back, your low back, your hips, down the backs of the legs, all the way to the heels. And then just pause and be still. Now, I'm not going to inhale oil, but just go back and check on those situations that we thought about where you felt abandoned or just that feeling. Try to go to a situation though. If it's that you feel awkward with a new person or being the new person in a group, whatever it might be, check in with that and see how it feels. Okay, let's if you want to share experiences or ask questions, you can unmute yourself, you can type in. Go ahead and fire away.
Hey, Greg.
Hey,
Hey. So the materialization that we did, was that using mugwort?
Mugwort Artemisia or Mugwort Supreme. Yeah.
Okay. I fell completely asleep. So mugwort.
It's probably because you've never experienced any abandonment before and you were feeling kind of bored. Like that's probably what was happening.
Yeah, never at all. Yeah, this class couldn't come at a better time. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Go ahead, Sonia.
Hey, Sonia.
I've never heard
the term individualization before,
Mhm.
and I don't know, I don't understand what you mean by like what's the definition of individualization?
More soul energy coming into the body.
Individualization means more soul energy is coming into the body.
Mystically, yeah. Mhm.
What are you individualizing? Or I don't know what. Uh,
Don't get too stuck in your head about it.
I'm not getting stuck. I just
Mhm.
not getting any. I don't know what individualization means.
Yeah. Um, okay. So
Uh,
for one, you're doing an intuitive process and you're trying to do it from an intellectual point of view. So you're hindering the process by doing what you're doing. But two, you're going from being like more in, like animals are more in a group soul, and then as we become human we start to individualize, right? We start to be more about the development of the soul rather than a group aspect, right? So that would be the process of being more individualized and not part of the group dynamic, not part of the collective. You're never going to figure it out with your intellect, by the way.
Well, you just explained it. That I
Yes.
just got what you
But
said.
do the in the
I
process, it's better to be doing the process and not thinking about the details of it.
You don't want me to understand what's happening, you mean?
I want you to do the process. It's an intuitive process. You're
Yeah.
doing the opposite of what I'm trying to have you do.
I just have never heard the word before. That
Mhm.
I didn't know what it refers to.
Okay.
And then someone's asking, what is in splendor?
Splendor is it's cypress, fir balsam, juniper, black spruce, mugwort, artemisia, sage, ironbark eucalyptus, frankincense, St. John's wort, and rue.
I dropped the Splendor bottle a few times
Yeah.
per side of the body. LOL. Lots of imagery of all kinds.
So splendor, yeah, like I hear you. I've been there with the splendor too. Like, so splendor was made originally for the treatment of PTSD, and it is associated with um the limbic system, like in ORC programming. We use it to treat the limbic functions.
And go ahead, Barbara.
Hey, Barbara.
Hey there.
Hey.
Lots of energy moving.
Yeah.
Felt like different kinds of release. There's still this odd sensation in my chest. It's lessened, but it's not quite an
No,
ache.
right. So sometimes that happens, like it's the Ming Men will overactivate that backside of the navel, and it's about establishing order. right? Like, it's a stress response. It could be all kinds of things. But usually in this particular case, it's about establishing order. And so sometimes when we're opening up these situations, the energy body starts to have a reaction and starts to like balance out the brain in a way to balance out the thought process and the emotional responses and your physiological responses in any of these given situations. And sometimes it starts to happen so quick that it will overactivate, and then that center moves energy up, right? And so sometimes you'll start to feel it a little bit in the chest. And so if you feel that, usually if you get up and do like hip rotations, like you're doing hula hoops, that usually should resolve it, because it's just energy is moving up, but it's getting a little like stuck, or the channel isn't big enough for all the energy to go up. And so doing the hula hoops opens up the channel and it just allows it to move up.
There's a lot going on in the head too. Back head, prefrontal cortex. It's settling down a little now, but it was pretty intense during the process.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that's part of mugwort, is opening up all the channels and getting energy moving. And it looks like that's what's happening with you, is energy's moving. And so just like maybe move the body around and
Okay,
get up and walk around. But if it doesn't resolve, let me know.
thank you.
Like if it doesn't resolve by the time we come back, let me know from break. Right.
And go ahead, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Hey. I just finished a healing water meditation coming in right before a class.
Uh-huh.
And it's like bringing this abandonment up. It's like, here I'm kind of just, really mellow and really feeling good. And it's probably a good time to bring it up though, right? So
Right.
it gave me a good baseline, and just coming up with the baseline afterwards with after the splendor, and a nice blend, by the way, with everything that's in there. That's actually, I thought there was some sort of fir or evergreen thing going on in
Yeah.
there.
No, you do.
But it was like it was encapsulated. The feeling was, rather than being a part of it,
Right.
or being part of me, it was kind of withdrawn but encapsulated a little bit, right? So
Right.
it's like there was starting to be separation in there. So that's what my experience was, between being in that um, place where you thought of the experience, or the social experience that you were having, or that I was having, that I was thinking of. So as far as being like abandoned, kind of left out there kind of thing, not feeling a part of it. It wasn't so much that I was feeling uncomfortable by it. It was just more of a encapsulated and away from me. So I wasn't like
Right. Interesting.
feeling the whole direct aspect of it.
And how do you feel right now? Like after you kind of went through and you had that little encapsulated like experience, how are you feeling right now?
Actually, just it's like it's cool, right? It's kind of like
Mhm.
okay, kind of thing. I'm not like agitated as much by it, if you will.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was watching Samantha as we were doing the part with the mugwort, and you probably yawned 30 times,
Oh my gosh.
40 times.
Yes.
Like, so I mean, that's the thing, is like, this is, if we look at like agitation in the body, this would be one of the big ones for just about anybody. Like um even if you spent time up on a mountain just by yourself, at some point you're like, why doesn't anybody come up and see me? Why doesn't, like, what about my family? Like, at some point it settles in, right?
Yeah.
And so the agitation is it's there, but a lot of times we're not aware of it. Our mind comes up with ways of managing it, and our feelings and whatever. And so I like the thing that, like, where it's feeling encapsulated for you. I mean, it's kind of not necessarily being of it, but like you still can go back and have the experience, but it's not like this full dynamic thing that's going through all your processes. And, because a lot of times when we feel it and we start to think about it, it's like we're almost being drawn back to an old situation or an old memory or an old way of, like an old pattern. Like it's like almost like watching a movie. You get a movie you really get into, you almost get kind of lost in the movie. And so here you're having the experience where you're watching that, but you're not lost in it, and so that's a very good sign.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Jody.
Hey, Jody.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm okay. This couldn't have come at a better time.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I started the day feeling very, very anxious.
Mhm.
And through the process, I mean, I did feel movement and space, and I ended up at a feeling, and I did get that separation where I could see, oh, this is what's going on, which
Oh,
was,
good.
yeah, it was really nice. And then I ended feeling almost numb and peaceful.
Nice.
It was really good. But
Right.
there's like a part of me that's afraid I'm going to go back to that anxiety.
Sure. Of course. Yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty normal. Like
What
to
do I
have the
do for it?
feeling or like, especially when we've had bad experiences and we kind of move out of it, we're always like, but the other shoe's going to drop at any point. Like, when's the next phase? And so, part of the other processes will most likely go through and address that. But, we go through and we do this, and it's like anything, like if you're meditating, for example, like you have this great meditation, you're like, oh, I feel so good, I feel so blissful. And then a week goes by and you're like, ugh, I wish I could have that peace again, because it does kind of drift away a little bit. And so, the same thing with things like this is, yeah, it might come up again, but you're also starting to see you have tools to go through and knock it out. And the thing is a lot of times these things come up in cycles, right? And so if they come up in cycles, then if you put something in place that's also based on like a schedule, which is another way of saying cycles, every time it starts to kind of rise up, like the practice just knocks it back down again. And so the idea that it's going to happen again is perceptive. Like, it is an intellectual process. So you go like, this has gone away, I don't want to have it happen again. But when we engage the intuitive processes, the intuitive process is actually what knocks it out, right? It's not, and intellect will actually maintain it. As much as is, that sounds weird, is even though it's something that is painful or negative, intellect is always, intellect being the everyday mind, based on the senses and everything. And so it's always doing things that's from the past. It's not necessarily healing something, even though intellect will want to get healed of it. It's the intuition that is the movement, the light, the spontaneous activity. It's the learning, especially active learning, a way to walk out of situations or to innovate our way out of a situation. And so with that, doing a little bit of repetition when it comes out is a way to keep knocking it down, knocking it down, knocking it down. And so, the anxiety might be about fitting in. It could be about other reasons, but the idea of using the mugwort to opening everything up, and then the splendor to calm down those responses. We're going to be doing splendor through each of the segments through the weekend. And so you'll notice that as the weekend progresses, it's like it's going to keep feeling better and better. But I would just say, if it comes up again, you just do the process to knock it out again. There is a bit of repetition that needs to happen, because just like your anxieties come up in a kind of cycle or a kind of repetition, like the healing needs to match that cycle or repetition. you know, and so you can do it just like when it pops up, or you can just go, okay, every Saturday morning, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this for an hour or 30 minutes or whatever it might be. And then just, you know, knock it out. And then if it comes up, say on Wednesday, you've already set the ground for, you've already knocked it out. And so it becomes easier to kind of pull yourself out of it or calm it down when it does happen.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
One, if I don't have
Yeah.
Splendor, which I'll order, but if I don't have it, I have mugwort. Is there anything
Yeah,
else?
use mugwort. Yeah. Like the Splendor is real heavy on mugwort and artemisia and St. John's wort. You know, all the other things are there, but those three things it's pretty heavy on.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
And we have somebody who's feeling tight in chest.
Probably again get up and move around, because again it's the Ming Men over. It's just, it gets big because it's trying to establish order or transmute something in the body, which is another way of, you know, transmuting some of the agitation is trying to establish order in the body. And so with that, if you get up and move around, but if it's not feeling better by the time we come back from break, let me know. But usually if you just move your body around, it opens up the channel a bit more.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah. Hey, one more thing too about the mugwort, and I just checked into this with a couple of pictures of chakras. I was actually being able to visualize like the chakras a little more
Oh,
coming
good.
through the whole thing. I mean,
Yeah.
especially the spots in the middle of them.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
and I've seen it, of course, with the, with Master's books, So, but I was seeing red in the middle of them, and I just went through and looked online at, website, and yeah, there's pretty much a red dot in the middle of every
Right.
one of them,
There you go.
except one. Yeah, but anyway, I thought that was really fascinating too,
Very
just to
good.
be able to just see that. So anyway, wanted to share.
Oh,
Thanks.
good. Very good. Yeah, I mean, mugwort opens up the channels. It opens up the like I say open up, but it like it expands the energy channels, and it opens up expands the chakras, and then actually makes them pump faster. So the chakras are kind of always like going like this, like back and forth, like,
Right.
and when you use mugwort, they start going like this,
Okay.
like faster.
Oh, it really kind of
Yeah,
accelerates.
they start pumping the energy.
Oh, right,
And
right.
so that's why everybody's saying, like, I felt energy moving, I felt this, I felt that, is the pipe got bigger and then more started going through the pipes, so to speak.
Yeah, cool.
And go ahead, Letty.
Hi, Greg. Hi, Sam.
Mhm.
Quick question, Greg.
Mhm.
The only Artemisia that I could find was Artemisia complex from. I'm not sure how I have that Artemisia complex, but I used it for one of the last classes that we did, I think 2 weekends ago. But does that still work?
Yeah, it'll still be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the difference on the complex versus your regular one?
I can't even remember what's in the complex. Let me look it up. Boy, that's from way back when. Yeah. And do you remember us?
I think I have it in my on the blog.
Okay, I'll look for
Yeah.
Greg. I just wanted to make sure that if it was something that we could
Yeah,
I
you
could
could
actually
use. Yeah,
that I could
even like if you didn't have those, you could also use allostasis. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Greg.
You're so welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the last weekend in a family gathering, I was reacted rather than respond, or just be quiet and watch. What is going on? Any suggestion?
I'm not sure I understand the question. You can unmute yourself or
Let me see if there was something earlier I missed. No. If you want to type maybe a little more specifically, that would be helpful. Someone's asking which oil is good to carry in this situation, Mugwort or Splendor?
oh, for the situation.
Yeah, like.
Probably Splendor. Yeah, I mean either would work, but probably Splendor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it's uncomfortable family gathering.
Yeah, oh, I gotcha. Wait, there's a family gathering that's uncomfortable. Ah, I know, families, huh? You know, I don't know about you guys, but like there's part of my family that is awesome. And then there's part of my family that so you know, Splendor, you could even like maybe Tarragon, you know, later we'll be talking about Tarragon. You could do that as well. Tarragon would be very soothing. The Splendor would reduce the agitation, you know. So
Someone's asking for like that kind of situation, Uncle Bob.
if so there's a blend, you know, I kind of coined because I didn't want to name who in my family I was talking about. I would, you know, I just referred to them as Uncle Bob, right? And we all have an Uncle Bob or a series of Uncle Bobs in our life that are just, you know, they're just those obnoxious people who are triggering to just about everybody. But, you know, we're dealing with it for, you know, ourselves. And so if the person's really obnoxious, if you're dealing with an obnoxious person, Uncle Bob would work. But if it's just about the dynamics of being in a group and things like that, I would probably work the Splendor. Yeah. Yeah.
Good shares, good questions, guys.
I think the thing with family is I think it was Dan, the one that said this a while back, is not only do they push your buttons, they installed them. Right. I think that was Dan. And you know, sometimes the most triggering things to us can be the family. And it might not be abandonment, but it's people poking you or they know how to, you know, push your buttons or get you a little triggered or, you know, whatever. And you know, yeah, Splendor would be good for that.
I forgot. Thank you so much for reposting. Feeling lots of tension in femur thigh area. What would be the best oil
Hey.
to clear? Poplar, acacia?
So in the femur thigh, like on the front, the sides, deep at the bone, like what are you feeling?
Sides and in the bone.
So on both legs.
Yes, both.
Hmm. I mean, that sounds like even though it's in the leg, it's probably in the low back or the hip. Poplar might work, but I would probably do helichrysum and inhale on the low back, on the hips, and then down into the legs, especially the outer leg. But that sounds like L3, L4, like in that area. And then the issue just keeps getting worse as it goes down. Is that something that's just happening right now, or is that an issue that you have and it's just getting a little aggravated?
Just started with the Splendor.
So do that, go down the legs, and then go back up to the lumbar spine and inhale there. sometimes what happens is, that homeostatic emotion a lot of times comes out in the muscular tissues, like the fascia and tissue. And so we'll have it in the tissue, but then it will manifest up in the spine. So you probably have a little bit of back and forth. So, yeah. And then keep me posted on that, by the way.
Thank you. All right, there we go. I think that's it.
Okay, so we will take a break. I think, is there anything else that we need to cover? Okay, we'll take a break and we'll come back at 20 till the hour. So I'll see you in 15 minutes. Hey, everybody, let's come on back. So here we're going to work with helichrysum. So if you have the helichrysum or trauma relief, which is helichrysum with some other things to augment, we're going to pull this out and we're going to flesh out what you would call those homeostatic emotions that we were talking about. And would you say there was a couple that yeah, there's a couple people who need substitutes. There's really not a great substitute here. Maybe try marjoram. Marjoram, or maybe marjoram. Marjoram. Yeah. Let's shoot for marjoram. Yeah.
Is that probably like a B choice?
It's
or
probably
B?
not even B. It's probably more like a C, but it's hard to replace helichrysum. I mean, helichrysum really shines here. It's even hard for me to do a blend without adding a bunch of helichrysum for this. Like the trauma relief is a lot of helichrysum with some other things. But marjoram would be good. Okay, so you have the helichrysum and just start inhaling it. You're just taking some nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause. Okay, so here we go. Front solar plexus, you're using the helichrysum or the trauma relief or the substitute there. You're inhaling on the front solar plexus, which is the upper abdomen below the ribs. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Move your awareness to the back solar, that mid back area below your shoulder blades. Now move to your lungs. Your awareness is on your lungs. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on your liver, the right hand side below your ribs. And now you're going to go to the midline and then a couple inches off to the right, below the ribs. So the midline, go about 2 inches to the right, below the ribs. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then down to your kidneys. Your awareness is on your kidneys. Now you're going to go to your spleen, which is on the left-hand side, below your ribs. Left-hand side, below your ribs. Move your awareness to the front heart, the center of your chest. And then just be still. Just be still. Let's do that one again. Awareness is on your front solar, which is below your ribs on your upper abdomen. Your back solar plexus, your mid back area, below your shoulder blades, in the mid back area, the back solar. And then just be still for a second. Just let the inhalation go. Just be still. Begin inhaling again. Your awareness is on your lungs. Nice, long, slow, deep breath with your awareness on your lungs. How's that feeling? Hmm. Your awareness is on your liver, below your ribs, on the right hand side. Now go to your midline, 2 inches off to the right, below your ribs. You're inhaling with your awareness on that area. Your awareness is on your kidneys. You're doing nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on the spleen, left hand side of your body, below your ribs. Nice, long, slow, deep breath. Your awareness is on the front heart, the center of your chest. And then just be still. Just be still. Now we're going to move to the next one. So you're going to begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the bottom of the tailbone, your basic chakra. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the bottom of your tailbone. Now, your awareness is still on the bottom of your tailbone, but you're also going to put your awareness on the spleen, which again, left side of your body below the ribs. So you're going to do the bottom of the tailbone and the spleen both at the same time. And now your awareness is just on the spleen. So your awareness is on that left side of your body below your ribs. Nowhere else, just there. Yeah, your awareness is going to stay on the spleen, but you're also going to put your awareness on your low back, the back side of your navel. So your awareness is on the spleen and your low back, both at the same time. Your awareness is just on the low back, that back side of the navel. Your awareness is on that low back area, the back side of your navel, and the top of your head, the crown. Your awareness is completely on the top of your head, the crown. Now your awareness is on the crown and go about 12 inches above your head. Go about a foot above your head, just somewhere in that area. Your awareness is on the crown in that area, a foot above your head. Let go of the crown, and your awareness is simply just a foot above your head. And let's just pause and let go. Just let it cook, let it incubate. How did that feel? Now you're going to grab your splendor again. Pull out your splendor. Begin inhaling. Your awareness again is on the left side of your body, head to ankle, that whole left side. The front side of your body, down the whole front side. Your face down to the tops of your feet. The right side of your body. From your head down to the ankle. And then the whole backside, back of your head down to your heels. The whole backside of the body, head to heel, down the whole backside. And then pause and let go. Just let go. Check in with your body, your emotions, your mind. Okay. We're going to take a break. We're going to do lunch. We'll come back from lunch. We'll share, ask questions, and then we'll jump into another process. So we'll come back at 5 to 2 or hour and a half, 5 till the hour. Hey, everybody, let's come on back. So let's go ahead and do shares or ask questions. You can unmute yourself or type in.
Oh, let me make it so you guys can unmute yourself. Okay, so someone did share right at the end of the last process, I felt a blast of heat explode within the knot at the top of the spine. Then sweat like I was in a sweat lodge. Do you think I released something?
Let me look at that. I think it's probably just like movement of energy. I mean, that could have been something releasing, but it also could just be energy shifting in the body. Yeah.
And then go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Greg.
Hey.
I was enjoying the Splendor plus the Auric programming format we were doing there.
Mhm.
What might be a good mantra to add if that wouldn't be too far down a rabbit hole?
Mantra. Let me think about that for a sec. The one for Tara. So
Good. That's the one that came to my head. Thanks
yeah,
for the
very, very good. Yeah, look at you. You nailed it.
Oh
yeah,
boy, I am intuitive.
yeah, there you go.
It's official.
Good for you.
Okay.
Yeah, like you could use that mantra.
Okay, great. Thanks.
You're so
Lots of anger coming up.
I mean, the thing with the helichrysum is it is flushing out homeostatic emotion, which is lower emotion, anger being one of the emotions. And so I would say continue with the helichrysum, especially on the organs of blood purification, like lungs, liver, kidney, spleen. The thing with anger sometimes, it can also be, it also can be generated by immune functions, which still this should calm down. But if anger is a little bit of an issue, because there's different kinds of anger, and sometimes when you get in deeper, there's kind of like a deep-seated anger of sorts that can arise in any of us. And Melissa is really good for calming that down. And we started making the tincture, the spagyric tincture, so we make a really strong tincture that we also add essential oil to, and which makes the use of Melissa like much more affordable, and you can use it to calm that down. I mean, we use Melissa every day, and you can use it from time to time or when those things are coming up, but just to keep tempering those homeostatic emotions. Like that's very good for that.
That's it
Okay.
for that process.
So we are going to go into the next phase here. And we're looking at basal. In here, we're kind of starting to address like the instinctual responses themselves. With the helichrysum, we were going through and purifying the emotion that gets generated, the emotions, the feelings, those kinds of things. Here, we're going directly after the instinctual responses or the homeostatic behavior. So this is those reactions that aren't processed by the brain or by your emotions, but your body just kind of reacts, right? And so this isn't necessarily like purifying them. It's more about like calming it down. And some of this is actually tied to like the tone of a particular part of the nervous system. You know, a lot of times when we're talking about like healing and meditation and prayer, we talk about vagal tone, right? So the vagal tone is associated with the vagus nerve and parasympathetic nervous system activity, which is rest and repair and like your digestion and sleep and things like this. But sometimes the thing that's agitated, anytime something loses tone, it either doesn't function better or is like over overactive is not the right way to say it, but it's like it gets over. We'll say overactive for right now. I'm not finding a better word, but not like in a good way. You know, it's not like, oh, it's going to make me relax more or something. It's like harder to do something. And so with this aspect, you're actually toning the sympathetic part of the nervous system, which is tied to action, activity, and in the extreme is fight flight. And so when we lose tone here, it can cause disruptions and like motor coordination, functions in certain areas of the body, but it also is tied to us being easily triggered. And so we want to diminish this, right? We want it to be more regulated. You know, if we're walking somewhere and we see a grizzly bear standing by our car, of course we want to get triggered and run because that's tied to our safety. But if we're just getting triggered for no reason or because of old stimuli and things like this, then this area is a little too like agitated. So we're toning it up. We're reducing the effects of stress and trauma, and we're trying to temper the tendency to get triggered and reactive. So with that, you're going to use basil. Some form of basil, could be holy basil, sweet basil, basil linalool, like any of the basils.
Yes, basil.
Yeah, basil spring is a great choice. Okay, so reflect and just think of social interactions, like how we started the day, where you start thinking about like how you interact in a group, how you interact with people at work, how do you interact with your family, how do you interact in a circle of friends. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Think of the social interactions and take nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then pause and just let go for a moment. And just pause and be still. Just let go of everything. Again, social interactions. Reflect on it and inhale the basal, long, slow, deep breaths. Mm. You're still focused on social interactions. And then pause and be still. Taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Again, thinking of social interaction. And then just be still. Now, you meet a new person, or you're the new person in a small group or big group, whatever it might be. Think of those times where it just feels awkward for a little bit. It's not really about that you're getting abandoned in those areas, but there's the potential of it, and there's like an awkwardness or a nervousness about whatever is going on. And after a little bit of time, you fit right in, but those moments are still reactions in some of your physiology. Take nice, long, slow, deep breaths and think of either being new or meeting somebody new. And then just be still for a moment. Now, begin inhaling Your awareness is on your back shoulder, which is your mid back area, below your shoulder blades in your mid back. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Okay, be still for a second. We're going to tap into your diaphragm, which is at the bottom of your rib cage. It's still kind of, when you go to your front solar plexus, it's just below your ribs. Like go in there and just go up a little bit, right? So it's the bottom part of your rib cage. If you kind of feel from the inside out, you can kind of feel like there's this big band of muscle that goes across your torso, right below your ribs. If you're not sure, just go to that bottom of the rib cage area. Long, slow, deep breaths. That's up. And then just pause. Your awareness is on the sex chakra, where the sex organs are. Your awareness is there. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause and be still for a moment. Now your awareness is on the low back, the backside of the navel, known as the Ming Men. And then just pause and be still. Oh, that tree. Hmm. Okay, we're going to do that application again. So let's go back to the social interactions. Reflect on social interactions, and as you reflect, begin inhaling the basal. You know what else would work here is poplar. Yeah. And then pause. Again, social interactions. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause and be still. And then again, social interactions. Let's do it one more time.